Not everything that is trendy is proper for you. It may be proper for them, but it is not proper for you. Trend can complement what you're already doing, but it should not be the sole determinant of what rules your life. Hello there, welcome back to my channel. I am Victory Ezeji, your image and style coach. If this is your first time seeing me, please go ahead and click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to know when I post new videos. It is actually very important. I really appreciate you for that. And if you're an old subscriber watching me again, thank you so much. Please feel free to check out my old videos to get along on what we're talking about. My social media handles are displayed on the screen. Please go ahead to engage and have fun as you watch the videos. Don't forget to click the follow button in those social media handles. In today's video, we're going to be talking about personal branding and how to effectively use this to make people need you. Oh yeah. So the topics we're going to be looking at to understand what we're talking about today are: what is personal branding? Key definitions of personal branding. Why is personal branding important? Disadvantage of not utilizing personal branding and the advantage of utilizing personal branding. Pillars of personal branding, key things involved in each of the pillars, and finally, how to effectively use this to make people need you. So let's dive right into this video. So what is personal branding? Personal branding is the process of creating an identity for yourself as an individual or a business. With respect to this video, I will not be talking about the business aspect of personal branding. I'm going to be focusing on the aspect of creating an identity for yourself as an individual. However, I'm going to use the business aspect to complement this particular topic of today for you to better have a clearer picture of what I'll be talking about in today's video. Personal branding is a process of creating an identity for yourself as an individual or as a business. Let's look at the keywords that are involved in this particular definition. The first keyword is the process. Process is defined as series of action or steps that are taken in order to arrive at a goal or in order to achieve a goal. Now, the second keyword in this personal branding definition with respect to yourself as an individual is creating an identity. Identity is defined as a set of character in an individual that distinguishes an individual from every other person. So identity is what makes you unique. It comprises of your character, it comprises of your traits, it comprises of your attitude that makes you different from every other person in the room. So let's put these keywords together and explain personal branding better. Personal branding with respect to these keywords that are further defined for you is actions and steps that are taken in order to distinguish yourself from others. That is personal branding. It's a step or action that you've intentionally taken up in order to distinguish, in order to make yourself different from every other person. That is what we're going to be discussing throughout this video. We're going to discuss the importance, we are going to discuss the advantages of personal branding and the disadvantage of the lack of it. Why is personal branding so important in this age? In a world like ours now, a lot of women are living their lives in conformity to a particular standard of behavior, which is not theirs. Most of the time, it is not theirs. They are doing it in order to belong. They are doing it in order to fit in. They are doing it in order not to look different or be told they are different. So in this era, a lot of people are doing the same thing. There is no more uniqueness. There is no authenticity. There is no self-identity anymore. Nobody is trying to create or define themselves from other people. Nobody is trying to understand the fact that actually they are separate from others, and there is a need for you to actually make that firm when you're interacting with people. But nobody wants to do that anymore. Most women do not do that anymore. As a result of trying to conform to a particular standard of behavior, most women have lost themselves. They have lost what makes them unique. Most women do no longer have a hold on themselves. They no longer have a hold on what makes them up as humans. My darlings, I need you to understand that when you were formed, when you were conceived, there is a uniqueness to your person. And for no reason should you lose that. because that is what makes you different. That is what makes you unique from this other person. And in my opinion, I don't think you should lose that thing that makes you unique. So as a result of this conformity to a standard of behavior, lots of women have lost themselves. I'm going to tell you the issues or the disadvantage of not standing out, of ignoring your uniqueness or ignoring utilizing your uniqueness. We're talking about the disadvantage of the lack of personal branding now. So one of the disadvantages of the lack of personal branding is it results to severe emotional issues. When you lack authenticity, when you lack uniqueness, you're doing what everybody is doing. You end up not being happy with yourself. Most times you can't explain exactly what is making you unhappy, but you're unhappy. You can't explain exactly what is making you unsatisfied with your life, but you are unsatisfied. And one of the most common reason for this particular problem is not living authentically to what makes you up, to your own ideals, to your own values, not another's. You get sad instantly, you get depressed, you can't explain exactly why you're depressed. This may be the reason for your problem. When you live authentically, when you live according to your uniqueness, you develop personal integrity, you develop moral courage, you develop strength of character. Because living according to what everyone does can never give you strength of character, can never make you say no, can never make you say, I can't do this, I'm sorry. Can never make you know when to say no and when to say yes, or when it is proper to say no and when it is proper to say yes. One of the pillars of personal branding, which we are going to be discussing in this video, is self-knowledge. So lack of personal branding simply means that you do not know yourself. You don't know who you are, and because of that you can't pass it to others, and you can't live by what you don't know. So you are literally living a life that is suitable for another person, literally. So you're not living your life, you're living a life that you believe because it's something trendy, because it's something everybody's doing. It is what is proper. Not everything that is trendy is proper for you. It may be proper for them, but it is not proper for you. Trend can complement what you're already doing, but it should not be the sole determinant of what rules your life or how you live your life. You should live your life according to your standards, according to your own values, not another person's standard, not another standard that is mapped out by someone else, not someone's ideal definition of who you're supposed to be. No, you're supposed to define yourself by yourself. So this is one of the issues that result from lack of personal branding. Number two disadvantage, or number two issue that arises out of lack of personal branding is you lack identity. Personal branding affects you an identity. It makes what makes you identifiable by others, and it creates boundaries. It creates a limit of what you can take and what you cannot take from others. It makes your actions predictable. People know what you can do and people know what you cannot do. When you live without recognizing or utilizing personal branding, or living a life where you don't have an identity, you can never be predicted. So what I mean by this is people cannot determine your character. People cannot determine what you can do and what you cannot do. But what they know really is that your character changes. You change your character to suit the situation. When the situation is not favorable, you switch your character. And that is not what I advise you as a woman to have. As a woman, it is very important for you to be identified. It is very necessary. In my opinion, you shouldn't live your life as a woman without an identity, without recognizing who you are and being able to let others know who you are and let others treat you according to who you are. Number three, you can't control the narrative. You can't control the narrative, my darling. Living your life without an identity, you can never control the narrative. You can never control the opinions of people about you. You should be the one to put out what you want to put out. You should be the one to put in people's mouth what you want them to say about you. I have discussed this thing in detail in one of my videos where I talked about investing in your image. Yes, if you have not seen this video, please I advise you to go see it. You can't control a narrative that you don't know or you're not aware of, because for you to control a narrative, you have to be aware of the narrative, right? And that narrative is yourself, and that narrative is what makes you up. So if you do not know yourself, you can be able to put it out there that this is who you are. There is no narrative to control. So literally, people can say anything about you. It results in the first issue we talked about, the emotional issues. You get depressed, you get sad. If you are a worker, this particular issue is for you. You cannot be able, or people will find it difficult to recommend you for jobs, or people will find it difficult to recommend you for an opportunity. And in a workplace, your boss will find it difficult to recommend you for an opportunity because you act on impulse. Your character is unpredictable. There is no uniqueness to you. There is no authenticity to you. You literally live your life with the way wind blows. If the wind blows you to the north, you go to the north. If the wind blows you to the south, you go to the south. It makes it difficult for people to predict your character, and in consequence, it makes it difficult for people to recommend you for an opportunity. We're talking about the importance of personal branding, and that is why we talked about the disadvantage. To understand it better, you look at the issues that arise when you ignore it. You look at the issues that arise as a result of the lack of it. That is why we first evaluated the disadvantage or the issues that arise as a result of lack of personal branding. So we're going to talk about the benefits of personal branding. Number one benefit of personal branding is you better understand yourself. You have a stronghold on who you are, and as a result, you can be able to communicate that to other people. You can be able to say, okay, I can do this thing. You can be able to explain your actions. You can be able to explain why you did something. That is what self-knowledge affords you. I'm going to talk about this in full when we're talking about the pillars of personal branding. So the second benefit of personal branding is you earn respect from people. And as a woman, I advise you that this is the first thing that you should chase after. In the respect of people. It is actually very, very important. And in my opinion, I highly recommend that. This puts you in a particular class. It puts you in a particular level. When people can identify you by your character, when people can identify you by something you can do, people look at you differently. People regard you so highly when you can be identified by a character. People can be able to vouch for your character outside. When I mean people, I'm talking about strangers. People who just met you probably once, or people who have heard about you, they can be able to vouch for your character. As a result, you earn respect from strangers, you earn respect from people. People regard you so highly, and that is why your opinion can be sorted after, because you have earned their respect. Number 3 benefit of personal branding is you attract people. Number 1 benefit of personal branding we discussed is it affords you a better understanding of who you are. This is a result of that. When you understand yourself, you work on yourself to get better, and that naturally makes people attracted to you because you are always trying to improve yourself, and as a result, you have a sound character, and that naturally makes you attractive. Always improving yourself, always developing your character, always making yourself identifiable. It naturally makes people attracted to you. That is what personal branding does for you. These are the reasons why personal branding is so important. We've looked at it at the disadvantages angle, and we've looked at it at the benefit angle, and the benefit you can see outweighs the disadvantage, outweighs the issues, because the issues that arise from it is so much, and you don't want to stress yourself with that. So I highly recommend you to create an identity for yourself. The next one we're going to be talking about is the pillars of personal branding. These pillars are also the processes, and do not forget our definition. We said that personal branding is a process of creating an identity for yourself as an individual. We further broke down the key definitions where we define process, a series of actions or steps to take or you take in order to arrive at a goal. These pillars are processes. These pillars are the actions to take in order to create an identity for yourself, in order to make yourself distinguished from others. They are called pillars of personal branding because you can't talk about personal branding without talking about them. They are very important, they are very crucial, and that is what personal branding revolves around. The first pillar / process is self-knowledge. You can't talk about personal branding, you can't talk about creating an identity for yourself. You can't talk about standing out or being distinguished from others without first knowing who you are. It is very important, it is very crucial. So the number one pillar and process is self-knowledge. And under self-knowledge, what are involved are your values, your beliefs, your strengths and weaknesses, your perception to life, how you view yourself, your self-image. These are the things that make up your self-knowledge. Self-knowledge demands that you should be able to identify your values. You should be able to identify your belief. What are those things that matter to you? Do you love respect? Do you love when someone does something wrong to you, you expect an apology? That is a value, and that is something that you highly regard. And that is why when someone annoys you, you tell that person upfront, see, I am not happy with this particular attitude. I demand an apology. Or please, next time, don't do it again. The person apologizes to you. Your values are important things that you regard, and they are the things that regulate your behavior, they regulate the way you act. So if you value respect, you should do well to also, communicate that you value respect. You want people to treat you in a way that you will feel respected. And you can't know this if you have not intentionally identified that you love respect. Self-knowledge helps you identify those things that are very important to you. Do you get angry when things don't go as planned? If you do, you want to try as much as possible to enable people to know that you want things to be done when you have planned for it. You don't want sudden change of plans. You can't be able to communicate this if you don't know it, if you have not identified it. You can't give what you do not have. Literally, that is what self-knowledge is. You can't give what you do not have. You can't expect to be treated in a certain way when you have not identified it and communicated it to people to treat you in that way. People do not value what is not valued. If you project yourself as someone who doesn't value herself, people will not value you. So it is important for you to advertise yourself, and that is what personal branding does for you. Put yourself in a position to tell people, I value this. This is important to me. So please live by it. When you interact with me, have this in mind. Who you are, enable people to see that instantly when they interact with you. It's not confusing. It is very distinct. It is very identifiable by people. This pillar and this process is not a coincidence for it being the first. It is the first step and action you need to take in order to create an identity for yourself. Ignoring it and jumping to the second pillar, you will not succeed in the third pillar, because these three things are very necessary. These three things work hand in hand. They don't work independent of the other. They depend on each other in order to help you create an identity that is solid. You cannot ignore this pillar. This pillar is very important. I know we tend to avoid uncomfortable situations, uncomfortable thoughts, but I guarantee you, when you try, when you do it, you will enjoy it. It is a therapeutic process. It will help you realize certain things that you don't even know about yourself, really. So please, first of all, identify those things that matter to you. Identify why you act the way you act. Why do you get angry at a particular situation? Why do you get angry at a particular response? Why do you get sad? Why do you get depressed? Why do you get jealous? Why do you start comparing yourself to this person? What makes you do that? What are the thoughts? This is what self-knowledge helps you identify. This is what self-knowledge helps you evaluate. When you're able to evaluate it, you can be able to pinpoint the reasons why you acted the way you act, why this particular emotion was induced by this action. When you understand this, the second process will not be a problem. The second pillar and process of personal branding is physical appearance. I am a huge advocate of utilizing your physical appearance to tell people what you want to tell them, to put it out there that this is who you are. I am a huge advocate of it because it is the first thing people see. It is the first thing that induces an activity, that induces a thought in someone about you or towards you. So that is why physical appearance is so important, because it is regarded, it has been proved to be a stimuli. And stimuli is something that is capable of evoking an action, of invoking an activity in something. So your physical appearance has that ability, because your physical appearance has a psychological effect on people, and you should be able to utilize that to tell people this is who you are. The major thing that makes up your physical appearance are your clothes. Your clothes is what makes up your physical appearance. Your carriage is what complements it. Your clothes is the number one thing that makes up everything about your physical appearance, everything about your look, your choice of clothes. And when you are comparing it by percentage, your clothes makes up 90%, and then your carriage makes up the rest. So your choice of clothes is actually very important for you to pay attention to, because your choice of clothes enables people to pick up the message you want them to pick. That is how you communicate who you are. Let your choice of clothes be able to give the message you want to give to people about who you are. Let it not be contradictory to what you have found out in the first pillar or process. Your clothes have a psychological effect on your behavior and the behavior of people towards you. I'm going to explain how your clothes have an effect on your behavior. Of course, when you have already gone through the first process where you know who you are, you know your values, you know what are important to you, you know the qualities that are important to you. If you believe that confidence helps you earn respect from people, your choice of clothes should be able to say that you are a confident person, to send off the message that you're a confident person. When you wear a clothes that you are not comfortable in, that is, you're consistently adjusting your clothes outside. You're consistently adjusting your clothes in public. It doesn't pass the message of confidence. It presents you as someone who is not comfortable and confident in herself, not in the clothes. Your behavior is your physical response to your thought or an emotion. Your physical expression to your thought, what is going on in your head and how you feel. It is your physical response. It is what people see. Now, how does your clothes have a psychological effect on your behavior? When you wear something that is uncomfortable, something that is making you body conscious, right? For instance, you have a big tummy and the clothes you're wearing is one that will make your tummy obvious. First of all, what does this do to your thought? It makes you so conscious of every step. It makes you conscious of every sound. What is going on in your head? What are people saying about me? Why is this person looking at me in this manner? Why is this person touching this person and looking at me? So this is what is going on in your head. How this affects your behavior. You either cover it up with your hands, or where you're wearing something that is short, you are consistently trying to pull it down. So that is the behavior. That is your physical expression to what is going on in your head. It has been communicated to your senses. You are conscious about it and you're trying to, cover it up to feel safe. That is how your clothes affects your behavior. How this affects the behavior of other people towards you is when people see you acting up like that, when people see that particular behavior of yours towards how you look, towards your clothes, right? The message they pick up about you is someone who lacks confidence in herself, someone who is not comfortable in herself and in her own clothes. If you identify confidence as a quality that you admire, or as a quality you want to have, or you want people to identify you with, that particular behavior has done nothing to communicate that particular message. It's created another image about you, created an image of someone who lacks confidence, gave the impression of someone who is not confident in herself. It created an image of a lady who does not have a self-value. That is what it does to you. And that is very bad. So that is why your clothes is so important. It is my professional advice that you avoid clothes that make you feel body conscious. In this process of creating an identity for yourself, where you have gone through the first process and you identified that one of your weaknesses is comparison, one of your weaknesses is self-consciousness, you want to transform that into confidence, you want to transform that into self-worth, and you want to communicate that you actually have self-value and you have self-worth in yourself. You actually believe yourself to be valuable. you should avoid clothes choices. You should avoid clothes that will make you question your self-worth, because you want to transform that weakness into confidence. You want to strengthen your confidence level in yourself. You should avoid clothes that will make you feel less confident in yourself. People don't see someone who is trying to be confident. What people see is someone who lacks confidence, and that is not good for your image. That is not good for the identity you want to create. Avoid those clothes that will make you feel that thing you're trying to transform. The second thing involved in your physical appearance, which is the second pillar and the second process, is your courage. Your courage involves how you carry yourself in your dress, or how you carry yourself in your clothes, and how you walk in your clothes. I explained this particular step in my last video where I talked about how to create formidable first impression. So please go watch it if you have not, because you'll get a lot. I'm not going to talk about it so much in this video for my time. All right, so please go watch it to know what I talked about in that particular one. Your courage is how you work and how you carry yourself in your dress. Go watch it. The third pillar and the third process is image consciousness. This is consistency of behavior of what you've done in the first process and what you've done in the second process. To set the first process is self-knowledge, the second process and pillar is physical appearance. So the third pillar and process is image consciousness. So image consciousness is being aware of how you present yourself to the public. Now, where you have solidly done well for yourself in these first two processes, the self-knowledge process or pillar and the physical appearance, which is the second process and pillar, the work there for you is to keep it up, to be consistent with it. What I said when we're talking about the first pillar and process, which is self-knowledge, is where you ignore or when you jump this first process to go to the second process, that is to use your physical appearance to create impressions about yourself, you will have a problem in this one, because you do not know yourself, and what you're using physical appearance at that point is as a tool for benefits, as a tool to suit a particular situation, because you believe that if you wear this particular clothes, it will attract this particular person and it will attract this person. So that is what you're using your physical appearance to do. You're using it as a tool to benefit you, which is, in my advice, not what you should do. Your physical appearance is a tool to communicate who you are to people. Where you don't know who you are, but you go ahead to paint a character for yourself, you will find it very difficult to remain consistent and defend that particular character you've created for yourself. And that results to a lot of problems. That results to people telling you you fake your image. You cannot be predictable because you change your character to suit your situation. You have so many characters, and that is not good for a woman. It is very important that you have, first of all, gone through the first process very well, gone through the second process, and then this third process where you need to be intentional to maintain the other two process, because it is very important. First of all, you know what you want, you've identified you want to improve on it, then you go ahead to communicate that in order to keep that impression you've created with your physical appearance about who you are. You want to keep on practicing, you want to keep on being aware of those thoughts that will make you go back to what you wear or how you were behaving or what your previous lifestyle was about. So that is what image consciousness is about in this particular process. So it is being aware and consciously on alert on ensuring that you keep this image that you've created for yourself consistent. Consistency of behavior leads to you creating a successful identity for yourself. Where you are consistent with a particular behavior, where you're consistent with a particular character, people can be able to identify you with that particular character. All right? So that is what image consciousness does for you. Finally, how to effectively use personal branding to make people need you. How to effectively use your personal branding to make people need you simply means ways you can utilize these pillars, ways you can utilize these processes effectively, that is in such a manner that it can afford you that identity you want for yourself. Number one is always pay attention to yourself. We've talked about the first process where we said the self-knowledge allows you to know who you are, know the values that you want, know the strengths and weaknesses, the weaknesses that you want to improve. So how you can effectively use this particular process or pillar to create an identity for yourself to make people need you is to always pay attention to yourself. Always pay attention to everything that occurs to you, which means that you're conscious about everything. You're conscious about your thoughts. You're conscious about how you act or respond to a situation. You don't act on impulse, right? You try as much as possible not to act on impulse. If your weakness, which you have identified in the first process, is responding on impulse, responding to a situation on impulse, you're working towards to make yourself respond more positively, or don't respond at all. That is what self-knowledge does for you. How you can effectively use this knowledge that you've gained about yourself is to always pay attention on yourself. You want to improve, so you want to pay attention to ensure you don't act without knowing again. Because you've built a habit to respond in that particular way, your body will always be on autopilot when you're faced in such a situation to respond in that particular way. That is why you need to pay attention to your thoughts, to your emotions regularly. It is very necessary. Now, how this helps you create an identity for people to need you is that you keep that behavior consistent. So if your first impression on someone was a positive response to a harsh comment, you are in an event and someone walked up to you and said, your clothes doesn't suit your color, your response, in my opinion, should be, oh really, what would you have recommended? Now that is a positive response. I need you to understand that such situations will come up, and when you don't pay attention to yourself, you will be tempted to respond the way you normally respond, which could be, is it your business? Is it your clothes? Is it your body? Always paying attention to yourself helps you read such impulse reactions, such impulse responses. When you're identified by this consistent behavior, people will be attracted to you and people will love to be friends with you, because this is not a regular behavior. This is not something regular for someone to tell you something so harsh and then you respond in such a manner. It's not something regular, and people will want to know how you do it. All right. Number 2, on how to effectively use these pillars to make people need you. Develop ways to respond in uncomfortable situations. You need to develop ways to respond to uncomfortable situations, because uncomfortable situations will come. So this enables you to strengthen your weaknesses. If an uncomfortable situation makes you sad, if an uncomfortable situation makes you angry, if an uncomfortable situation makes you depressed, you must have identified these emotions that result from uncomfortable situations. You develop ways to combat it. You develop ways to transform those weaknesses and develop it into a strength. And how to develop it into a strength is to develop ways you can respond to uncomfortable situations. If you are trying to create an identity of self-respect and self-value, you've actually communicated that as a first impression, it is very important for you to keep it consistent. Where you are consistent with this, it makes people definitely need you. It makes people want to learn how you do that. Imagine getting a harsh comment when you're smiling at the person who has given you such harsh comments. It's a rare quality, and I believe it's something that women should have. It's a skill, and I highly really recommend that you develop that skill, because it presents you as an alpha personality, honestly. Number 3, on how to effectively use these pillars to make people need you is have a wardrobe routine, have a wardrobe cleanup routine. How does this help you? When you have gone through the first process, second process, and you are now in the third process, having identified that clothes have a psychological effect on your behavior and on others, you want to work on your behavior first, because it's your behavior that people pick up messages about you. It's from your behavior that people form an opinion about who you are. So it is actually very important for you to watch out for that. And one of the ways to watch out for that is having a wardrobe cleanup routine. You get to be aware of clothes that actually make you feel good, clothes that will effectively communicate the strengths you want to build, the values that you have identified in the first process. So this enables you to know such clothes and also identify the clothes that don't do these things for you, that will communicate a message that is contradictory to the things that you have identified in the first process. When you do this, you will be able to be consistent with those clothes that make you feel good, that helps you develop those key things you have identified in the first process as a weakness. That is everything about how to effectively use these pillars to create an identity for yourself that will make people need you. What this does for you as an individual is it presents you as an alpha personality. Alpha personalities are persons who are regarded to have a personal integrity, to have integrity, to have a strength of character. And strength of character simply is that you can be identified by a standard. You can be identified by a standard of behavior, by a standard of behavior that you have mapped out for yourself. People can be able to say you can do this thing and you cannot do this thing. This is what you can say and this is what you cannot say. So that is what strength of character is. And when you are identified as someone who has this, people will love you. People tend to follow those who matches their ideal self, who matches persons who they want to be or persons who they wish they were. When you match that ideal description of a person, such persons will want to get associated with you. And what this does for you in a workspace, it makes you needed, because employers, the way they grow their business, the way they keep moving forward in the business space is they staff their weaknesses. They employ the quality they don't have because they need it in their company. When you have identified yourself and you have identified such quality in yourself, someone will want to work with you because you complement that person. But when you don't know who you are, you can't develop any quality, you can't develop any particular skill that makes you unique. And like I said, creating identity makes you unique. It is something that distinguishes you from this other person. And when it is something that is needed by an employer in that workspace, and it's the workspace that you want to be in, you will definitely be needed. People will always need you. You'll be a hot cake. That is what personal branding does for you. It brands you. It makes you stand out. It makes your message stand out. Because of consistency of your message, it makes you stand out. It makes you distinguished from every other person. When you see brands like Jumia, brands like Konga, brands like Victoria's Secret, all those big, well-known brands, they are still in business because of consistency of message. Consistency of message which is founded on the foundation of their ideals, which as a person you have identified in yourself knowledge. And it is consistency of physical appearance which you see in their products, which you see in their branding, which you see in their customer service. Now as a person, it is seen in your clothes. It is seen in the consistency of you maintaining that message that you have identified in your self-knowledge, maintaining it through your physical appearance, through your choice of clothes, through the way you carry yourself, and through the way you walk in that particular clothes. And finally, maintenance of the image consciousness. And you see image consciousness at play with respect to them maintaining their image. You see them keeping up the same response with the way they deal with their customers, the same consistency in their customer service. That is what differentiates them or distinguishes them from every other brand. There are so many brands, but these are well-known brands because they have kept to these 3 pillars of personal branding. You can't create an identity without these 3 pillars at play. And that is what businesses use. That is what big brands that you know their names use. And that is why you as a person, you should build your identity around them. That is everything about personal branding, and we have come to the end of this video. So let's have a recap of everything we talked about in this video. Everything we talked about personal branding and how to effectively use it to make people need you. We first of all defined what personal branding is, and we said that personal branding is a process of creating an identity for yourself as an individual and as a business. And I said that we are going to talk about personal branding with respect to yourself as an individual. Before that, I went ahead to talk about the importance of personal branding, why personal branding is so important. We looked at it from the disadvantages angle and the benefit angle, where we saw the issues that arise as a result of lack of personal branding and the benefits that actually happen, or the benefits that occur, the benefits that you see or you get to experience where you have created an identity for yourself. We went ahead to talk about the 3 pillars that personal branding is built on. We talked about the self-knowledge, we talked about the physical appearance, and we talked about image consciousness. And we also talked about the things that are involved in these 3 pillars. And finally, we talked about how to effectively use these pillars to make people need you. So that is everything about personal branding and how to use it to make people need you. I hope this was valuable. I hope this was insightful. It has been so interesting so far, and I hope it was interesting for you because it was interesting for me shooting this video. I hope you really had fun, and I hope you learned 1 or 2 things from today's video. Please, if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel, and please turn on the notification bell to know when I post new video. Thank you so much for my old subscribers and new subscribers as well. Please feel free to always go back to this video or check out my other videos to learn things. I assure you there are valuable lessons for you in each video, and I highly recommend you to watch these videos if you are seeking self-development as a woman and how to utilize your physical appearance to be successful and fulfilled woman. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video. God bless.